You were not given the authority to reactivate Cabal, Slavic. Without Kane here...
And who informed you I reactivated Cabal?
You ordered the assassination of Tratos without consulting the Inner Circle.
I gave no such order.
And the Tacitus Slavic. Do you deny that as well? The Tacitus is here!
Again, I gave no such order.
I gave the orders.
You, Cabal. Why?
The Tacitus is necessary. The extermination of Tratos was necessary.
Cabal, you serve Nod. I am Nod! Cabal, you serve...
Communications are not at optimal conditions due to increased ion particle activity within the lower atmosphere. Mutants have stolen the Tacitus from me. I require its return. Recover the Tacitus from the mutants. I will not be denied. Retrieval of the Tacitus is paramount to me, and to the survival of the Brotherhood. You must use all means at your disposal to recover the device. Reinforcements...
Welcome back, Commander. One has to wonder if...
Yes, sir?
Since we're the same commander, allegedly anyways, throughout this entire campaign, does that mean that we just willingly follow Cabal? Are we a cyborg, or is there something I'm just not quite getting?
You got it. Yes, sir?
In any case, this is an interesting mission, and more so just because of the way that the map is designed. And we'll get there eventually. I guess really the one thing I always question is just Cabal doesn't really have to justify why he's cut communications. And if we're all part of this like entire conversation from the beginning, you know, it's just you don't need to lie. If it hasn't been clear already, we're fighting the mutants, or the Forgotten more specifically, and they've got quite a few tricks up their sleeves. As always, you can generally expect to fight the same things that you've seen in previous engagements against them. Namely, that they'll have stuff like battle buses, maybe a few captured Nod vehicles, but also they have the mighty Mammoth tank. There's also some infantry that goes around here and there, but as long as you have a few laser turrets spread about your base and enough artillery to cover those, you should generally be fine. Seeing that we are fighting the Forgotten, one should expect that the landscape that we're fighting in is kinda just hell-bent in a way. There's plenty of Tiberium, so at least you don't have to worry about money issues. But the fact that there are so many Tiberium vein holes and all of the cliffs just make it really hard to navigate. It also seems like there's some Tiberium life forms that are dedicated to the mutant cause. Maybe they have some way of controlling them that Cabal doesn't even know. It may not have been too obvious, but vein holes, just due to the nature of how the maps are built and how they work, there is, when they, on that last tile where they join or end, it is possible to have like a sort of safe zone. And that's what happened to the earlier stealth tank that I lost to an artillery. It happened to move off the safe tile and got damaged, and instantly was fired upon by 2 artillery pieces. Oh yeah, they also have Ghost Stalkers show up every once in a while.
Unit reporting.
He's the main reason why you want some laser turrets, because artillery got that nerf that everybody knows about and has either griped or what's the opposite? Praised Westwood Studios for making the change. And so, since artillery isn't a guaranteed hit, the fact that you can, or that you should be putting laser turrets down to either slow his movement or just be that sort of anti-infantry firepower should be more than obvious.
Unit ready. Moving out, sir. Unit reporting. Orders received. Awaiting orders. Unit reporting. Awaiting orders. Flight.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. No problem. Engineering.
Unit lost. Building captured. Unit lost.
Waiting orders. No problem. Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building captured.
Unit ready.
Building.
Yes, sir. No problem.
Unit lost.
Now, unfortunately, doing these sorts of sneaky base captures isn't
Construction complete.
going to work all that well, if only because they have a Umagon to work with, which I certainly wasn't expecting.
Unit lost.
The fact that they have so many units nearby as well just makes defending your initial captures just that much harder, and generally won't succeed. Oh yeah, and laser turrets aren't going to be the best sort of defense. You really need to have a layered approach to it. So laser turrets, tick tanks, artillery have at least one mobile repair vehicle to do the job, and then you're fine. And I was very annoyed that a mammoth tank could drive on top of Tiberium veins and have no problem. Considering the very tight and narrow landscape that you have to go through, stealth tanks, while they are one of your best means of scouting, especially early on, you kind of don't want to do too much else with them. They're just too soft against anything that the Forgotten have, and after you scout the base once or twice, you're generally fine and won't have a need for it again. You also have to get kind of lucky with moving your stealth tank around, because sometimes you just hit a bad angle and yeah, next thing you know you're just out of a vehicle or two. Somehow cyborgs feel like they do better when I'm not using them. So the way the map is built really forces you to send infantry down through the southern path, or I guess the western path, while having vehicles and other units either go through the top or underground. There's also a very nice reward to focusing on getting an EM pulse cannon. Generally speaking, if it's not infantry, you should be able to EM pulse whatever the Forgotten send your way. especially with the mammoth tanks.
Yes, sir.
You can kind of
Yes, sir.
render them useless, which is very, very good.
Unit reporting. No problem. Sir. Waiting order.
Unit
Yes,
lost.
sir.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
I'm on it. Unit ready.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Sir? Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit ready.
Silos needed.
I should have probably had some attack buggies with these guys. Oh well. Not that it matters too much.
No problem.
Also, I was really hoping that those flamethrower tanks would either do more damage to the artillery, or at least cause artillery to damage each other, and
Yes, sir.
kind of have to worry about them less, but seems I'll have to do it the hard way. I also don't have enough range on the EM pulse cannon to be able to hit those 3 vehicles. And sadly, even if I wanted to go through the middle, I think the only way down the hill on the opposite side is actually next to those artillery pieces and the mammoth tank, which isn't too helpful.
Construction complete.
And I also just realized that I have a mobile repair vehicle that's way out in front of my base.
Unit ready. Moving out. Orders received.
Unit
Sir,
ready.
unit reporting. Yes, sir. Unit ready. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders.
It kind of makes for a tough decision whether or not you want to get the high ground, or if you want to try blazing through the Tiberium field.
Unit ready.
Now, thankfully, it's not blue Tiberium, so you don't have to worry about
Sir.
explosions and whatnot,
Unit lost.
Unit reporting.
but it's still not all that great.
Waiting orders. Waiting orders.
Unit
Waiting
lost.
orders. Sir.
The other problem, too, with taking the high ground approach
Unit lost.
is that if you're using tick tanks, well, we've seen how they're really terrible at shooting at stuff below them. So you'd probably end up losing a unit or two
Unit reporting.
just because they couldn't shoot at the
Ready.
nearer artillery piece.
Yes, sir. Orders received. Unit reporting. On my way. Yes, sir. Unit ready. Unit reporting. Unit reporting.
Unit ready.
Unit reporting.
Oh, also, there's an objective that just flashed above. It mentions how you should protect the truck that's carrying the Tacitus.
Unit ready.
You need to pay attention to how far you scout, because one of my earlier attempts on this mission went too far into the top left corner, and if you get too far in, you discover a vehicle, it automatically changes to your control. You don't have to capture a building or anything, which is counterintuitive to say the least. And next thing you know, you've immediately lost the mission because it's surrounded by 6 Tiberium Fiends and God knows how many vehicles of, a number of designations.
Training. On hold.
I think I was also hoping to see if maybe I could get something better than a Harpy
Unit ready.
for air units, but it wasn't to be the case. Banshees are sadly still locked behind the tech level.
Awaiting orders.
Unit ready.
Also, I had a tick tank that really wanted to die there.
Reporting. You got it. Awaiting orders. On my way. Waiting.
Unit lost.
Sir. Sir. Moving out.
Unit lost.
Sir? Yes, sir. Sir? Orders received. Unit ready. You got it.
That's basically the problem with this mission.
Unit reporting.
There's just too many paths, and while the pathfinding for Tiberian Sun is good,
Unit reporting.
you do have problems on this map specifically.
Orders received.
It's just all too crazy for
Yes,
it.
sir. Unit ready. You got it. Sir, unit on my way. Moving out.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Also,
Sir.
I really don't appreciate the fact that, you know, that
Unit lost.
captured a vehicle while we weren't
Sir, no.
capable of seeing it, really.
Unit lost.
Unit on my way. Waiting order on my way.
Also, you really want to check those high ground locations, especially if you're going to run the truck through it, because
On my way.
there's some Tiberian fiends that sometimes hang out there, and if they don't get called away to attack or anything, they're behind a tree or two. They get kind of hard to spot, and it's not really fun. I was hoping maybe the radio station building would be capturable or have something about it, but sadly there was nothing. And the same thing applies to the hospital. It's still not a functionable location. Maybe sometime in the future. I think that floater's been up there the entire time. Should have probably killed it a while ago.
Objective complete. Mission accomplished.